Everyone's talking about AI replacing creativity, but what if it can enhance it? That's what I'm interested in. And I feel like we've hit this weird moment in marketing and branding where brands really like the idea of consistency, but they're just hit with this wall of having the budget to be able to invest into it. The budget never matches the ambition, and AI, quite honestly, is changing that. So this video isn't about how you replace musicians, how you replace agencies, but it's about how we can expand on what is possible for brands who actually want to sound consistent and fresh across every different touch point. And to do that, we need to look at the consistency conundrum. This is where every brand wants to sound consistent, recognizable, memorable, all of the things that we achieve and want to achieve with visuals, but something instantly recognizable at the same time with sound. When every campaign shifts energy, a bold TV ad, for example, versus a soft, emotional social post. You know, those two things are very different emotions and energies. So how can one track hit both of those things? Well, traditionally, we would create a song that would have high and low energies built within the song that could be edited and cut down so that you could use within those different energies. But we're in a world now where AI can maybe, and I believe, actually enhance that level of assets that a brand has, the audio toolkit, for want of a better term. And at the minute, brands are dipping into music library. And I'm sure you feel the pain. Music libraries have their own pain points. You know, the art lists, the epidemic sounds, they never quite hit exactly what you want and what it is that you're looking for. And they definitely don't cover bespoke consistency across your brand, right? So the result of that is you end up with a mix of tracks that feel right in the moment, but they also sound like everyone else. You've got thousands of other brands using those same tracks as well. And you lose the chance to build that long-term recognition, which ultimately builds long-term brand equity, right? That's where the value really, really lands. So what is the hidden cost of library music? Well, we've done another video based on the amount of time it actually takes for employees to look through library music, then download it, edit it, send it away to the executive team, and then it come back because they're not happy with the music choice. Then you have to find another track, then edit it again, and so it goes on. And in that other video, we basically have reached an average conclusion that, a conclusion by law of averages, not just an average conclusion, by law of averages, that it's about £7,500 in the UK, and I guess you could just say the same in the US, £7,500 per employee per year just using library music. That's music you don't even own yourself. So the hidden cost. Library music seems flexible, pretty quick initially. It's just the cost of a subscription, right? Well, no, it's actually the cost of your employees as well on top of that. And it's generic by design. You know, these songs are created because we've done some ourselves for library. These songs are created to get maximum sales, to be as bland as possible so that it actually can be used by more people. It's actually by design that it's generic. So if you can't own it and you can't stop competitors from using it, and you definitely can't build memory with it, what's the point? Like, it's a huge hidden cost of using library music. And some brands end up sharing songs with industries they'd never want to be associated with. I found a tobacco company that was using the same song in their commercial on socials as a healthcare company. Like, that speaks for itself, but they don't want to be associated with each other, surely. So in chasing short-term convenience, you're actually sacrificing that long-term identity and, I believe, integrity at the same time. So where does AI come into this conversation? Well, the real magic happens when you have the core melody for your brand. That's a series of notes. That's your motif, a hook, for want of a better word, a jingle, for want of a better word. You know, a series of notes. Think about McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. That series of notes we associate with McDonald's. Now, on top of that, you also have a rhythmic element, and that is what defines the core melody. A rhythmic pattern, so ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, the rhythmic side, and then the melody side, the ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Combine those two things together and you have your sonic DNA, something that sounds like you, and you can reinvent it a million different ways on different instruments, but ultimately the combination of the ba-da-ba-ba-ba, there's 5 notes, and the ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, that rhythm is your sonic identity. It's your sonic DNA. Once that's defined and you own it, AI can then help us, producers, generate variations around it. Okay, so from high energy campaign tracks for, let's say, a TV campaign, to then a calm ambient loop for a different campaign where you're targeting a slightly different demographic. Okay, all of these are still instantly recognizable as your brand. And traditionally, brands with budget would have these songs individually made per TV campaign, per initiative, per activation even. Okay, and that means that consistency and adaptability and cost efficiency are all achieved at once. Whereas traditionally, we would go and make a brand 5 different songs, and the cost of that would for having humans and performers and players be part of that, it would naturally stack up. Now, every part of my artist brain obviously loves that process and will enjoy every time that process still happens. But that doesn't fix a problem for brands that maybe don't genuinely have those budgets in place, and they don't have access to musicians at an affordable rate. Like, that's a very real part of the industry. That might be you watching this video, okay? So if you can have consistency, the adaptability, and cost efficiency all acknowledged and achieved in one agency deal, that sounds great, okay? And that's where AI actually comes in. So what brands need to get it? What do brands need to get this right? We can't just turn to AI tools and say, make me a happy song, which I mention in a minute, but we can't just do that. So brands need to own their own melody initially. Without legal clarity on who owns what, like how do you even have a license to be able to call that mine? AI generated assets get messy really, really, really quickly. And also, if you don't actually go through the process of owning that asset, somebody else could come along and steal it from you very, very quickly. In the same way that, you could make your own visual logo, but actually to go through a process working with an agency that knows how to register all that, trademark it, etc., in the right way is, how do you put a price on that for Intel? If I could steal their sonic logo, their audio identity that we all know, that little 2-second, 3-second sound, if I could just come in and steal that, that's so much value over years and years of building that up for Intel, gone. So of course they've gone down the right route of making sure it's trademarked, made sure it's registered properly. And so brands need to own the melody first, okay? And then you need to find the right agency support to issue those licenses, as I just said, handle the rights, set up the ownership properly, and be able to prove that that ownership belongs to you in the first place. And prompting AI for music requires more than just musical direction. Like I say, it's not just typing in, make a happy song, and that just happens, right? There's so much more that needs to go into it. There needs to be a bit of a plan and structure on what instrumentation is chosen, dependent on your demographic, the time of day that you're expecting consumers to be absorbing this content, or these touch points or experiences. These are all considerations that need to be made, but AI is allowing that process to become much more efficient and much more extensive, but not at the cost it used to. Okay, and once you've generated music, you still need to edit it. You still need to master it so that, the volume levels are the same as every other campaign that's out there, so you don't get lost in the noise. Those of you that remember TV campaigns, and obviously they're still happening, but the days of getting your advert to be the loudest it possibly can, it's all more regulated nowadays, but you need that expertise to make sure it still lands, still hits, still is the most impactful part of your campaigns as well. So you do need that help with the editing and the mastering, which is still going to cost your team time and cost your brand money. So there are still essentials. There's still an essential need to use professionals. Okay. So the new sonic workflow, I guess, the future of sonic branding isn't AI versus humans. I don't think that we're going to end up with a website where you click generate me a sonic logo or an audio logo, and away you go, download the files, and it's going to work. I don't believe we're anywhere near that, in the same way that I don't believe there's big brands out there, successful brands, should I say, just downloading a visual logo from the internet. There's a reason why there's not websites we'll go to download a visual logo, right? Yes, there are websites that do it, but for it to hit all of the emotional elements, the visual elements, the demographic, the goals of the business, like that needs some thought and some brain power going into it, even if that's going into prompting an AI solution in order to create it. There will still be a human element. So it's about using AI with humans, okay? And AI can help you scale your sound identity without losing quality or coherence across your brand. So really, we're talking about how do we bridge between creative consistency and real-world brand budgets, and that's where AI comes into it. We've spoken to so many brands that unfortunately we've not been able to work with because the cost of human music creation from start to finish is just out of budget. But what about humans starting it? AI somewhere in the middle, and then AI rounding it off and integrating it into your company. Now that sounds like a model that's going to go into 2026. And that's where we're focusing. So you still need experts to design that DNA, but now we're able to evolve it faster and smarter and ultimately more efficiently, both cost and time. So how are we helping brands in particular? So if you're curious about how to make this work safely, and safely is a key word there, and creatively, we're helping brands currently design their AI-ready sonic frameworks, okay? For your team to know what they're doing, they need to have a framework in place. We like to see this as audio guidelines in the same way that you give your team visual guidelines at the moment. It's affordable, it's fast, and more importantly, it still belongs to you. So if you're not afraid of AI and you still want to stay both legal and legendary at the same time, this is where we like to start. Okay, this is where you should be in the process of embracing it. There's my email on screen. Grab it. Let's have a chat. Let me show you through the process. We create something called a soundboard. It's like a mood board, but for sound. Hey, super creative name for it. But take me up on that offer. I would love to speak to you about your brand and how sound could be integrated into it. And then I can show you how we use AI in this world. In what I think is a very fair way to the industry as well, to the music industry. I think it still involves humans at the right moments, but we're not denying that AI is here and here to stay. All right then, hope to speak to you soon on that, and hope this has been useful. I will look forward to a conversation in the near future. Ciao for now.